Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. This broadcast is being streamed live on our website nta.ng/live and other social media handles displayed on your screen. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved more than 134.7 billion naira for the payment of security debarment allowance to all veterans who retired from the Nigerian Armed Forces with effect from 2017. The president, who dropped this cheering news at the launch of the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day Emblem Appeal Fund, stressed the need for the enormous potentials of the ex-servicemen to be tapped for national development. State House correspondent and Musambo has details.
Apart from commemorating the nation's fallen heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of humanity during the world and civil wars as well as peace support operations, the launch of the Emblem Appeal Fund is also an opportunity to appreciate the troops still actively engaged in the daunting task of preserving national security. The federal government, President Buhari promised, will not relent in repositioning and strengthening all the nation's security agencies to enable them surmount prevailing challenges and provide a conducive environment free from threats and criminality.
I would like to reiterate my earlier resolve to hand over a Nigeria at the end of my tenure that is free from insecurity to the next generation of leaders, and with the gallantry and sacrifices exhibited by men and women of our armed forces in the campaign against insurgency, I am confident the nation will be returned to normalcy and will continue to battle decisively for the security challenges.
Citizens, he however said, must refrain from detrimental acts and statements that threaten national unity and integration, but rather engage in those that unite the country. The president, who reiterated government's commitment to the welfare of the nation's veterans, made a case for business enterprises to support the service personnel in form of discounts and rebates upon purchases and services rendered.
The emblem remains a symbol of remembrance and a beacon of hope for a peaceful future, with the unspoken message to our fallen heroes that their sacrifice is noble in the greater good of our fatherland.
Adorning the emblem is one way we can identify with this sacrifice. I therefore wish to implore our students to procure the emblems and wear them with pride as a sign of patriotism and support for the armed forces.
The president announced a 10 million naira donation to the Nigerian Legion on behalf of the federal government, while pledges were made by the National Assembly, the armed forces, the police, and other security services. For Senate President Ahmed Lawan, the resolve by President Muhammadu Buhari to hand over a well-secured Nigeria to the next administration is a collective responsibility by all.
And the best and only and most logical thing to do for us in the National Assembly is to also participate in that enterprise of ensuring that we provide resources for the armed forces and other security agencies to continue to fight the insecurity that we face. And it's something that is doable. It's a matter of determination. And I'm taking this opportunity here to appeal to all Nigerians that we must at all times support our armed forces.
During the event, government agencies at both federal and state levels, as well as the defense and services headquarters, have been encouraged to interface with and patronize the veterans on matters of security, intelligence and strategy. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The redesigning of the Naira notes will not only check corruption and counterfeiting, but will also curtail the activities of bandits and kidnappers. This is coming from the Senate as it reconvenes after 4 weeks of recess. This followed Senator Uba Sani's motion, which applauded the planned redesigning but implored the Central Bank of Nigeria to carry out extensive awareness across the country and to ensure more security features on the new notes to check counterfeiting. But senators differ on the deadline when the old notes will cease to be legal tender. The House of Representatives have resumed its investigative hearing into all agreements on government-owned leased assets. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribiri reports that the process is part of the legislators' efforts to block all financial leakages at a time when the nation's revenue is dwindling.
The House Ad Hoc Committee investigating leased assets of government is digging deep into the scope of its mandate, this time to find out if agreements on leased assets have been fulfilled. Thus, key stakeholders are being engaged here to get a first-hand answer to many questions before the panel. Here comes a lot of revelations.
The agreement was designed in such a way that it was supposed to be paying yearly to federal government. From 2008 to 2017, he did not pay a kobo, and he accumulated to about 6.5 billion. They invited BP several times. BP will come and say they are on top of the situation. They will recover the money up to now.
We're talking about 6.5 billion. The complex can generate more than 12 billion in a year if it is properly handled.
And then the verdict from the House Ad Hoc Committee.
The motion has been moved to invite the chairman of EFCC, the director general of BPE, and also the former concessionaire, Oleg Nigeria Limited, and management of Lagos International Trade Fair to come to answer questions why the federal government's resources of over 6.5 billion has not been recovered in the last 10 years.
The committee says it is committed to recovering all financial leakages from the abundant assets of the government. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
Nigeria is building collaborations with potential investors to ramp up finance for the implementation of the nation's energy transition plan at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Egypt. Onengie Fineface will tell us all about it.
Nigeria is the first country in Africa to develop a detailed energy transition plan. Accordingly, an energy transition working group was set up, chaired by the Vice President and supported by an energy transition office, to tackle the dual crisis of energy poverty and climate change. The plan details pathways for significant low-carbon development of energy systems across 5 key sectors of power, cooking, transport, industry, and oil and gas, highlighting the role of natural gas as a transition fuel on the path to net zero.
People from the private sector themselves to market it to the global community. So far, we've been able to pitch to the global community to market the transition plan, to attract funding to support the initiatives.
We're hoping to communicate to the global community that we are a country of action and that the projects we have are valid, they can be made bankable if they're not bankable already, and that we can really join hands to make those commitments from the international community to support the developing economies as well as Nigeria with that 100 billion that has been saved.
To be able to sign between 3 to 5 agreements with original equipment manufacturers for the gas as well as for the other energy infrastructure.
At COP27, Nigeria is exploring investment opportunities to kickstart the implementation of the energy transition plan.
The plan reflects a vision for Nigeria to kind of industrialize, right, through low carbon technologies.
In Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Back home, a reviewed national policy on MSMEs was launched by government in 2021 and is to span to 2025. Relevant stakeholders from various ministries, departments and agencies are meeting in Abuja with the sole aim of charting the way for the successful implementation of this policy. Muplan Dakok has details.
Nigeria's shea butter is arguably the best in the world, but exporting it has been a challenge for micro, small and medium enterprises. Shea butter is just one of the thousands of products that face the challenge of exports and markets, which the national policy on MSMEs implemented in 2021 seeks to address.
Most policies, it's not as if they are not good when you look at the content, but it is the implementation that's always been the problem. So we just decided that there's a need to have all the critical stakeholders within the MSME implementation framework to come together and have the ownership of all the recommendations of the national policy.
We ensure that we have that benefit derived from it to ensure that our MSMEs move to the next level.
The national MSME policy has 154 strategic actions across 9 policy areas, and to ensure implementation, each stakeholder represented here is expected to come up with a workable plan towards a vibrant and sustainable MSME sector. In Abuja, Muplan Dakok, NTA News.
Civil servants must forward within 2 weeks travel requests accompanied by appropriate and necessary documents for timely approvals ahead of expected travel time. This is to enable the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation to ensure due diligence on the requests. This is contained in the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Eson's message to meeting of protocol officers and those in charge of international travel desks in some ministries, departments and agencies on requirements for processing of requests for approval for international travels and foreign training in the country. Haman Jabani has more.
Not complying with extant rules as well as templates of foreign requests for approval for international travels and training not incur more costs and promote cost-saving measures in the light of the dwindling national resources are some of the reasons for the convergence of these officers from some ministries, departments and agencies responsible for international travel. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Eson, who was represented, says the need to be diligent and scrutinize requests for international travels and foreign training thoroughly by protocol officers and those in charge of international desks is sacrosanct.
Under the current regime, retrospective approvals are no more tenable, and so it's very important that desk officers are made aware. All requests are processed based on their merits as far as they are strategic and exigent to MDA's mandates, and they have budgetary provisions in the subsisting acts.
Some of the officers say their orientation has changed and all procedures for international travels will be duly followed for the interest of the country.
And I will go back to the MDAs to let them know what the guidelines, the rules that is behind the traveling abroad.
There is the need for good planning. There is need for us to be adequately informed about the travel documents.
Budget Office of the Federation, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and other stakeholders say government is determined to save costs in the prevailing economic situation so as to make funds available for other priority projects. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
National Human Rights says it will continue to work in strengthening human rights activities in Nigeria. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, was speaking when he received in audience UN Resident Coordinator on Human Rights, Matthias Chemo, on a familiarization tour to the Commission in Abuja.
In most countries, their national human rights decisions don't even have
mandate to deal with security forces and so on and so forth. Our mandate is total. It is anything that is human right. There's nothing that is excluded from our mandate. We're very clear as resident coordinators. We must help countries save the development agenda. If we don't prioritize this, we will fail collectively. And the three priorities they gave out to Secretary General in particular was number one, education. And that's going to be interesting. I think there was a reference at one point by one of your colleagues to children out of school. Education is a basic right, so I think that's one area where we can explore further collaboration. Second one is climate change.
We expected that the relationships between the National Human Rights Commission and the United Nations will promote and protect human rights of Nigerians in line with global best practices. Let's join Michael in Lagos for more on Nationwide. Michael, it's over to you.
Thank you, Lydia. Lagos State government is committed to strengthening bilateral relations with the French government, especially in the areas of expansion on agro-allied processing to boost food security across the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this when he granted audience to the French ambassador to Nigeria, accompanied by members of the French Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defense and Armed Forces at Government House in Lagos. Musa Tolia reports.
It is on record that trade relations between France and Nigeria dates back to 1973. There are, however, more French companies and business interests in Lagos than in any part of the country. The French ambassador to Nigeria, Emmanuel Blackman, who led some of our country's legislators to the State House, told Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu that they are on a 3-day visit to Nigeria to meet with French business community and explore more areas of bilateral relations with Lagos State government.
It's a very important mission. First of all, it's been quite some time that we haven't had French parliamentarians coming to Nigeria. I think it shows the interest and the strategic importance on all sectors and all levels that we have for Nigeria.
Governor Sanwo-Olu assured the French delegation that Lagos State is open to more partnership, especially in the area of security, trade, commerce, transportation, and information technology, so as to create more employment opportunities for the youths, among other interventions.
First is to thank you the security and the things the ambassador said, your visit to the Navy in our country and all of those collaboration to help stabilize our country. We're also interested in the agro-allied area market that you talked about. We've been planning to go to France for a while now on how the pig market, how we can learn from the pig market, but we're doing something already. That's
more than 50 French companies are located in several parts of Lagos metropolis. In Lagos, Musa Tolia, NTA News.
Senior ranking officers of the Nigerian Army School of Finance and Administration are currently undergoing training in leadership development to enhance their skills in tackling contemporary challenges in the defense of the country. Ruth Ariel Samuel reports that the 4-day seminar is in partnership with the Nigerian Institute of Management.
Need for the Nigerian Army to be competent, effective, and efficient leaders with cognitive abilities for the management of human and material resources, as well as being equipped with adequate skills to tackle different security challenges, cannot be overemphasized. Commandant, Nigerian Army School of Finance Administration, Brigadier General Felix Ohunyeye, represented by his deputy, said the workshop will improve and develop the leadership capacities of participants.
The seminar is thus expected to provide optimum benefits to you participants because of your direct responsibilities in achieving the 4 cardinal pillars of the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophies with the end state of achieving the Chief of Army Staff's vision.
The training will also aid effective decision-making and deepen understanding of day-to-day assignments in the accomplishment of assigned missions in a joint environment of operations.
The accomplishment of Nigerian Army goals and objectives, especially at this premium time, depends on the
prompt and precise application of leadership capabilities.
The seminar always affords the participating officers the opportunity to come together to brainstorm on topical issues bordering on the armed forces vis-a-vis the strategies and management of their affairs and profession.
The leadership strategies training is expected to sustain manpower development in the army. In Lagos, Ruth Ariel Samuel, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide.
Still watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA, and welcome to Ibadan. Over 200 people across Southwest Zone have benefited from free medical outreach. Correspondent Rofia Animashal Badmos reports that the 7th free annual medical surgical outreach was held in one of the Muslim hospitals in Ibadan, the state capital.
The 3 days annual medical outreach featured surgeries of various kinds, eye examination and treatment, cervical cancer screening, dental consultation and treatment, screening of blood for hepatitis C, B, blood level, sugar level, HIV screening, among others.
It was free, without paying anything. Even we were given drug.
I use the medium to thank them. It's helped us. It's helped people.
Consultant family physician said the medical outreach is part of the monthly programs conducted by ACF, like economic empowerment for the less privileged, educational grants for indigent students, free blood donation, among others.
We have been doing with support of all our members, both medical and paramedicals, and usually we do attend to more than 200 people during this outreach.
We operate on male, female, children and adults. Basically we do herniatomy, herniorrhaphies, breast lumpectomy, umbilical hernias, major.
Al-Ansar Trust Fund, however, called on well-meaning Nigerians to support this cause, as it is a means of earning the pleasure of Allah in this life and the hereafter. In Ibadan, Rofia Animashal Badmos, NTA News.
The general elections, religious leaders have been charged to keep tab on the peaceful coexistence and uphold their roles in nation building. This was the submission of speakers at Interfaith Peace Summit on the 2023 general elections organized by Al-Habia Islamic Society. Shola Wahid has the details.
About 100 days to the general elections slated for next year, efforts are on for its peaceful prosecution. The theme for the summit is role of faith communities in prosecuting peaceful elections. Leaders of thought in different states encourage massive political participation on the part of the citizens, as well as the rightful usage of the permanent voter cards.
Governs our destiny. So we must participate actively in that institution that holds our destiny for us.
It's a point of duty to get our PVC and vote the right candidate. Vote your conscience.
For the Independent National Electoral Commission, free, fair and credible elections cannot be compromised.
INEC is assuring everyone that your votes will count and that you should come out on the election day and vote for your candidate.
Security operatives also pledge their commitment towards ensuring peaceful and successful outings.
The Muslim and Christian, we are supposed to be working together for the progress of our nation, and we are now working against ourselves, bringing our country down. Why is the problem? Why do we have that problem? We discover it is ignorance, and that ignorance, we are trying to remove it.
The summit reached a consensus on the continued orientation of the people to perform their rightful roles during the elections. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
Those are latest reports from Ibadan. Nationwide continues in our Abuja studio, where Lydia is standing by.
Thank you, Larry. Good news for humanity the world over. A new international event has been added to the United Nations Days of marking and celebrating significant events. It is the International Day of Tolerance, celebrated for the first time ever in Nigeria. It is a move to curb the rising cases of war and diverse crises resulting to killings. Momso Damien Dati will report. Tell us more.
The only reason why a human being will intentionally fake a weapon to eliminate the life of another like him or her is simple: lack of love and tolerance. This has caused humanity so much pain, sorrow, and destruction. However, it has become pertinent for this to stop so that humanity can enjoy some peace and saneness. Hence the birth of the World Tolerance Day.
This, for the first time in the world, the United Nations is coming up with what is called the Tolerance Day. As a matter of fact, it is also the first time we're doing it in Nigeria, and looking into what is going to happen in Nigeria come the election 2023. It need not to stomach violence or anger in your heart. If at any moment our friend be placed, call my attention. Once you are able to see the other person as you see yourself, the world will be a peaceful place.
From diverse countries, races, tribes, and religion, these people are converged here at the Merit House Abuja to mark the World Tolerance Day in Nigeria.
Our association is today observing the day with a view of making public statement that will promote tolerance in all its expected areas toward achieving it.
The day will be marked 16th of November every year. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
To make health for all a reality, effective synergy amongst key players in healthcare services remains critical for the attainment of universal health coverage before 2030. Elizabeth Omori reports that this was the position of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Yakubu Mekel, during a meeting with the management of the National Insurance Authority on how to strengthen legal frameworks with the scheme.
Following the signing of the National Health Insurance Authority Bill into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in May this year, members of the bar have raised concerns on the legislative provisions for health insurance. To this end, the Nigerian Bar Association is seeking partnership with the National Health Insurance Authority to protect citizens' rights and give access to quality health care to millions of Nigerians.
If you go through the discourse legislations, you will see some of those phrases that are used that are similar in some other legislations, but they are better understood within the context of the purpose of the legislation. NBA is prepared to either take it up on the authority.
Besides interrogating the legislations for the purpose of clarity, provision of people-centered care, and investment in the NTA report will go a long way in raising the universal health coverage before 2030.
Information is different. People understood it, people participate in it, and he has even gone to discuss a lot of issue of political economy of health insurance.
With 83 million Nigerians targeted, political commitment of policymakers to achieve the feat remains sacrosanct. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says from 1st of January 2023, it will not receive or entertain any communication except through its admissions platforms. Registrar of the board, Professor Ishak Oloide, stated this at a meeting on automation of curriculum, accreditation, and general administration matters in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports.
2017, JAMB introduced the Central Admissions Processing System (CAPS), an initiative that has made the process of admission into tertiary institutions transparent, easy, and seamless. In all of this, regulatory agencies were not included. Now, this meeting with heads of tertiary institutions in the country seeks to include them in the digitization process. This will assist in improving efficiency, reduce time, and ensure records are archived permanently.
When NUC or MBT approves a program for Kaduna Polytechnic, NUC or MBT does not need to take the pain of writing to JAMB. Once they communicate and put it on the platform, only Kaduna Polytechnic will see it. Only JAMB will see it. And
the person who had written it.
For heads of regulatory agencies, the introduction of CAPS and integrated brochure and syllabus system, IBAS, have helped in making the process of admission smooth. And this will in turn assist in achieving a better tertiary educational system in the country.
Providing an exceptional feature that links all our regulatory agencies on one hand and the institutions on the other hand. This is the way to go. Nigeria must go digital.
The meeting also provided opportunity for heads of institutions to express their yearnings and aspirations, which have made them understand the workings of the system. Olainka Uju, NTA News.
Yes, on to Nationwide. Let's now go over to Sokoto, where Nana Aisha is waiting with the next set of reports. Hello, Nana.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Lydia. Welcome to Sokoto. Stakeholders have been tasked to ensure full implementation of violence against people prohibition law and the child rights law to build a society where women and children's protection and safety are guaranteed. Alhatu Abdullahi reports that this came to the fore during the high-level visit to Sokoto by the implementing partners and government agencies of the Spotlight project on ending violence against women and girls in the country.
So that Nigeria is still encumbered with the culture of silence, victim shaming or blaming, suppressing or oppressing survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, as well as condemning them to a life of psychological and emotional torture. Recently, about 10,726 cases of sexual and gender-based violence have been reported in Nigeria from the data source of the Ministry of Women Affairs, with only 33 convicted. Several efforts by the development partners, governments, and relevant stakeholders were made to address the menace. Among the initiatives were the National Plan of Action on the implementation of the Violence Against People Prohibition Act 2015 and the Child Rights Act in all the states of the Federation. So far, 31 states have domesticated the Child Rights Act and 34 states have domesticated the Violence Against People Prohibition Act 2015, while the remaining states are on the way to doing same. Sokoto State is among the frontline states in the domestication and active implementation of the two laws after due legislative and executive processes.
I commend and congratulate the governor for the job well done in Sokoto State as far as the Child Rights Act and the Black Act.
Well, the purpose of this visit for us is just to take stock of what we have done in Sokoto State, to apprise them and to reinforce those good practices.
Highlights were signing a pledge to end gender-based violence by the UN-EU Spotlight representatives at the Nana Khadija Referral Center, Sokoto, unveiling of child rights law and the Violence Against People Prohibition law, and the launching of the referral document produced by the State Ministry for Women Affairs in Sokoto, Alhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Office of the National Population Commission Sokoto has called for applicants, especially women, to partake in the forthcoming 2023 population and housing census. This is coming at a road show exercise organized by the Commission in the state metropolis. Sheikh Muhammad Datti reports. This is coming at a road show exercise.
The road show is a collaborative effort between National Population Commission and the National Orientation Agency, as the agency is saddled with the responsibility of orienting the public on government policies and programs. The exercise brought together students drawn from different institutions of higher learning in the state, National Youth Service Corps, Cabo operators, Federal Road Safety Corps, and police officers, among others. The Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission Sokoto Office, Teacher Abdullahi Datujo, described the roadshow as one of the Commission's policy meant to sensitize the youths, women and allies in the state to join the exercise for the development of the state.
We are reminding people to please come out, get into the portal and register. Very soon, the committee that was set up, the local government committee, will start work so that those people that get into it are going to be listed and reached out so that the good ones among them will be selected for this job.
It is going by the mandate of the agency that we collaborate with each other organization for us to enlighten the government on the need for the people to support the government policies, program and activities.
The roadshow that started from the Commission's office through Meti Allah, Kano Road, Fodia Road, and terminated at Sokoto Central Motor Park, covering 5.5 kilometers within the metropolis. The aim of the exercise is to ensure all are not left behind for the national assignment. In Sokoto, Show Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
That's our news package. I hope you, that's our news package. Please stay with us because Nationwide continues after this commercial.
Thank you so much for staying on. Welcome to Enugu. About 15 indigent persons suffering from complex spinal cord and brain-related ailments have benefited from neurosurgery, which held at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Ituku Ozala. Chika Ugu reports that the surgery was in collaboration with the Swedish African neurological specialists.
The idea behind the gesture, according to the Chief Medical Director represented, is to provide subsidized surgery to indigent patients with complex and sensitive health issues. He also noted that the hospital is well equipped with experienced and renowned doctors as well as state-of-the-art equipment worth millions of naira donated by their partners from Sweden.
We want to go to the level of international best practices. We have this collaborative, a structured program with this Swedish team.
The operations, which required not less than 6 doctors on an operating table, lasted about 6 to 12 hours each, depending on the severity of the ailment.
There is a partnership really that cuts across not just the performance of surgeries, but the training of local surgeons and nurses.
The doctors expressed delight that all surgeries were successful.
It was a fairly difficult operation with a large tumor, so it was perhaps a bit more difficult than we anticipated, but we managed to get all the tumor out.
We are so functional that we are the only center in the whole Nigeria that has the pediatric ICU.
Mrs. Grace Afurobi is one of the patients with complex brain and spinal cord ailments.
I was in 44 hospital in Kaduna. They said the lasting solution is surgery. And I was afraid of this why, because of what people are saying. Maybe when you do the surgery, you may end up in wheelchair.
The management of UNTH is calling on government and well-spirited Nigerians to complement their efforts and make the hospital a reference center for neurosurgical operations in West Africa. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP Enugu State, has formally inaugurated a campaign organization that will drive its campaign activities ahead of the 2023 general elections. Inaugurating the over 1,700 member organization, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi reminded the party faithful in the state that it is the business of all members to sell the party and its candidates to the electorates. Susan Eze reports.
With the 2023 political calendar having since begun and INEC lifting ban on campaigns, the Enugu State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has set machineries in motion to woo the electorate in the forthcoming elections. The constituted campaign organization with over 1,700 membership, here being inaugurated, has been charged to hit the ground running to ensure that the party candidates achieve wins at the polls. Governor Ugwanye, who gave the charge, expressed his conviction that with the quality of experienced politicians that constitute the campaign organization, the party will have a smooth coast to victory in all of the elections.
All our teaming party members that we are indeed together. We must campaign for our party in our political wars. Communities, as politics is indeed local. Therefore, in reality, it is everybody's business to sell our party.
The Enugu State PDP campaign organization is chaired by a former state party chairman, Chief Ikeja Asogwa. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Enugu. We will now rejoin Lydia in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Chinenye. Nigerian Association of Technologists in Engineering have appealed to federal government for appointment of only engineering personnel to head all engineering ministries and engineering-related establishments as a deliberate step towards resolution of Nigeria's power and other technological challenges. This was at the 38th Annual General Meeting of the Association in Jalingo, Taraba State. Adamu Haruna Adams reports that technologists from different parts of the country were in attendance.
Members of the association who came from far and near were tasked on training and retraining in order to be abreast of modern engineering technological trends. National President, Nigerian Association of Technologies in Engineering, NATI, Dominic Oduatan, said for Nigeria to achieve the most needed technological breakthroughs, the federal government must ensure that only engineering personnel man engineering ministries, departments, and agencies.
If this is upheld, Nigerian power and other engineering-related problems will be reduced drastically.
Professionals made presentations on topics that included role of engineering personnel in promoting entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainable technological development in Nigeria. Stakeholders call for greater investment in technology innovation at all levels. In a 6-point communique issued at the end of the meeting, the association also appealed to federal government to grant license to local inventors, adding that resolutions of the meeting would help in addressing global warming, flooding, and other environmental challenges.
Also recommended the training of more engineering personnel, reiterating the practicing ones.
Highlight of the meeting, which is the 38th, was presentation of Presidential Excellence Fellowship Award to General Manager NTA Jalingo, Ms. Christy Ejiga, and other personalities. In Jalingo, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has emerged as the federal establishment with the best website in Nigeria. This was at the public presentation of the results for 2021/2022 Federal Government Scorecard in Abuja. Adebola Bruslin reports.
The provision of better and more efficient online services on a web in an integrated and a more customer-focused way is now inevitable with the growing evolution in technology based on architecture, availability, interactivity, and accessibility. 220 websites of federal agencies were evaluated, from where ICPC came first, National Identity Management Commission second, FRSC and NDIC jointly bagged the third position.
We have also seen tremendous improvement in the number of MDA to have various domains that their portals and websites can run on.
efficiency and transparency in delivery of public services enhances the business climate of Nigeria.
Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reform Ibrahim Asuki Arabi told the forum that the scorecard ranking is a peer review mechanism for strengthening the capacity of MDAs.
Our finding has equally shown that there are challenges of skill gap which must be adequately bridged for the success of the scorecard to be adequately consolidated and sustained.
The initiative for Digital Space Business Platform is aimed at providing timely and unrestricted access to government information and services. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
Now to politics. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party and former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, says his agenda for restructuring is to ensure that the government becomes more efficient. Lead advisor to the PDP presidential candidate Paul Ibe in a statement disclosed that he made a remark at the 24th lecture series of the Lagos Business School in Lagos. It added that Atiku would encourage the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly to come up with constitutional amendments that will give more powers and resources to state and local governments. The private sector, the statement further emphasized, should be given the opportunity to play more roles in the economy, recalling that as Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between 1999 to 2007, Atiku headed the economic team that implemented fundamental economic reforms, including the design and implementation of a private sector revival strategy. The PDP presidential candidate noted that the 5-point agenda of his policy proposal is a document that contains the solution to the many challenges bedeviling the country. And as the 2023 general elections inch closer, display of preliminary voters register has begun in all the 225 polling units across Kebbi State, with unimpressive turnout of those it was meant to benefit. Correspondent Ibrahim Dan Hamidu reports that the exercise is in line with the new electoral law.
Days back, the nation's election umpire INEC commenced the display of voters register at all the political wards across the country. The motive was for people who registered for voters card to check their information for necessary correction and to collect their PVCs during the exercise, which ends on the 25th of November this year. However, few days after its commencement, a visit to some political wards in Birnin Kebbi reveals poor turnout, as INEC officials were seen waiting for those concerned to come and check their names and also collect their cards.
People are not coming out, and we have a lot of voters cards waiting for them.
Come out to cross-check your name. You'll be able to know that your name is on the register. 1. 2, you'll be able to know that your name is well written, so that no name is misspelled. 3, it will now give you it will now make you foolhardy that on election day your voter card will not be rejected. You will be accredited and you will likely be given your ballot paper to go and vote.
In Birnin Kebbi, Muhammad Abubakar, NTA News.
Much is being done by the European Union and Institute for Media and Society to educate broadcast media organizations on issues in the phases of the electoral cycle, with emphasis on safety, inclusiveness and fairness. Abdul Malik Hassan has more.
Not the first time Nene will be attending a summit like this, but she feels it is critical to doing her job as a journalist.
If you start beforehand, give the public information that they need, especially the legal framework.
She is focused like others in this room, listening to presentations revolving around election cycle and ways to keep them well equipped.
The core issue in this is for journalists to understand what the public needs to hear, give the public what they desire, at the same time protect themselves as journalists, because most times journalists face threats.
2023 is around the corner, and another period for the election in Nigeria.
We want to see a situation where women, for example, get quality coverage, where youths get quality coverage, where persons with disabilities get quality coverage. No one should be left behind. We want the media to be fair to all sections of the population. In that case, we'll be carrying out what we call inclusive coverage of the electoral process.
We are not only looking at the value of this training to the organization, we are looking at the value to the public, to the audience, because we are the intermediaries between the audience and the politicians and the political parties.
They are taking the lessons learned to their newsrooms to better equip others and expected to have the drawings that will well project the 2023 general elections. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Next is sports.
The Nigerian Olympic Committee Wednesday in Abuja inaugurated its board of trustees with Habu Gumel charging them on working towards furtherance of the Olympics movement in the country.
Their place is advisory in nature and to ensure that the NOC complies with the relevant laws, rules and regulations in force in Nigeria as well as the Olympic Charter.
There are several duties of a trustee. Some of them will of course have to ensure that their properties are in order and also to be honest in our judgment and in carrying out our duty.